And we're back at MetLife Stadium where Drew Stanton will make his 5th career start, a late entry into the starting lineup because Carson Palmer could not go today. They expected him to play, but they made the decision not to. A shoulder injury on Monday night against the Chargers. He actually played through it and played great in that game. On this play is where it happened. In the second quarter, watch his right throwing shoulder at the very end. That's where it happened. For more, let's go down to the field with Pam Oliver.
Kevin, he was crestfallen. When I spoke to Carson Palmer, he said he just could not believe it. He told me that that nerve in his right shoulder just would not fire. It would not cooperate. He had round-the-clock treatment during the week, but to no avail. He demonstrated to me just how high he could lift his right arm, and it was only just about so. Drew Stanton makes his first start since 2010. A win over the Bucs. Back to you.
Now, Pam, that's a long time. And yeah, I mean, the Cardinals fully expected Palmer to play today, even though he had limited practice, so it's a little bit of a surprise to them, too. Josh Brown will kick it off to Ted Ginn. Here we go from MetLife Stadium. Take a knee, and so we will see Drew Stanton right away in his 5th career start. First time throwing a football in an NFL game since 2010.
But, Kevin, I think the thing to remember, Bruce Arians very much believes in Drew Stanton. This was the first player he signed as a head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He brought Drew Stanton in. Later on, the trade for Carson Palmer happened. The entire team, Tom Moore, the assistant head coach, they have a ton of confidence. He said Drew Stanton will play well today.
Andre Ellington is the back. Fake on first. Time for Stanton. Come near side. Wide open is Michael Floyd. And he is going to make the catch and get up to about the 38, 39 yard line. So a good start on the first pass from Stanton.
And Kevin, I like this a lot. Bruce Arians as a head coach is very aggressive. That's his MO. Well, how about having your backup quarterback? You aren't running the ball. You're going to come out and let the kid fire. Throws a nice, safe comeback route to Michael Floyd. Outstanding execution by Stanton to get things going.
A one play and a 19-yard gain and a first down for Arizona. They set up the screen here. That was going nowhere. Giants played it well. Stevie Brown came in. JPP was there on the coverage. For this Giants defense, it got torn up a little bit on Monday night against the Lions.
And it's all about pass rush. And Jason Pierre-Paul's the special player on that line. You see Kiwanika on the other side. John Beeson, he's the field general in the middle. Jaquan Williams, more of a cover linebacker on the outside. Here's the secondary they feel is the strength. Rogers Cromartie and Walter Thurman, who we'll see in the nickel package. They're big acquisitions this offseason.
Cardinals go big here on a 2nd and 10. Here's Dwyer, the ex-Steeler. Breaks through a couple. He's not going to go anywhere. Well played by this Giants defense. Hankins and Pierre-Paul on the stop.
Well, Jason Pierre-Paul, he's looking like the guy that we saw back in 2011 and 2012 that was wreaking havoc across the league. There he sheds the block, goes and slows Dwyer down, and here comes the rest of the posse. Pierre-Paul playing like that's a good thing for the Giants defense.
3rd and 10. Giants allowed the Lions to convert 67% on 3rd on Monday night. 4-man rush. Stanley Fitzgerald has it for a first down. Into heavy traffic and all the way down to the 44-yard line. It's a 17-yard gain.
Well, how about that for some confidence? First 3rd down, an adverse situation. He looks over at his big stud, Larry Fitzgerald, into a tight window with authority. 3 Giant defenders right there. Throws with timing, anticipation. Big-time throw by Drew Stanton.
So Stanton off to a nice little start, including 2 of his first 3 passes for 36 yards. Here's Ellington. Andre Ellington has a good seam. And Ellington rumbles all the way down to the 22. And the Cardinals right down the field, a 22-yard gain.
Well, Andre Ellington has been slowed and hampered, although he did play Monday night against the Chargers, by the left foot injury. But he doesn't look slowed and hampered right there. Andre Ellington burst onto the scene last year. They've got a special player. They know it averaged over 5 yards per carry in his rookie season.
And so quickly, 3 first downs for the backup quarterback, Drew Stanton, and a 1st and 10 at the 22. A lot of time here. Ellington dropped it. Andre Ellington, John, you know, he got hurt with a left foot injury just before the first game, and there was talk initially that, man, he could be out a long time, yet he played and played pretty well Monday night.
Yeah, I think there were some erroneous reports. They were a little bit worried early on. You're always worried about those Liz Frank, the foot injuries with the running back. But right away, they checked on it. It's a torn muscle in his foot. He's playing great on it. He's not quite as spry as he usually is, but still looking very effective.
That's him, number 38, Ellington. Carlson, the tight end in motion. Again, Stanton with time. Now the pocket breaks down, and down he goes. Jason Pierre-Paul comes in and gets the sack.
Well, Kevin, not only is Jason Pierre-Paul an incredible athlete, this is just a very intelligent player. Watch Pierre-Paul right here. They're looking for the screen to John Carlson, the tight end. Pierre-Paul smart enough. He sees it. He holds off the screen covering Carlson, and then comes and makes the sack on Drew Stanton. He's a game-changing player when he's right. He looks right to me. And again, that's a great sign for this Giants defense.
On 3rd and 17, Stanton drilled, and there's a flag. They blew the whistle, and they blew the play dead. But, you know, honestly, I don't know that McLean could have heard that. It was loud in here.
Well, John Perry calls the personal foul. I could not hear the whistle.
There's 2 fouls on the play. Delay a game. Offense. Dead ball. Personal foul. Number 53. This is a 5-15. A 15-yard penalty will be enforced. 1st and 10. Arizona.
Watch McLean right here. They blow the ball dead, but again, you could not hear in the stadium. It looks like there's action there. I do not blame McLean at all. John Perry's in a tough position, but I think Tom Coughlin has reason to be miffed with that call. You just couldn't hear in this stadium. It was awful loud.
You know, the bottom line is, you know, he did hit him when the quarterback standing up like that, and he gets the penalty. That's a killer. I mean, instead of delay a game and looking at 3rd and forever, now you move it down. It's a 1st and 10 all the way down to the 14-yard line. Watch John Brown, top of your screen. The rookie is electric. Fake it to him. Scroll, nice play. And all of a sudden, Jason Pierre-Paul is off to a rollicking start.
Well, we talked about it. He needed to play big for the New York Giants. It was masked in the fact that their defense was gashed. Here's Pierre-Paul by Detroit in week 1, but you watched the film and you saw some things you liked, and again, just an outstanding play. Rushing the passer on Valdir, manages to get his left hand up and break up yet another screen pass. Jason Pierre-Paul, a force early today.
The Giants need him to be just that. Tom Coughlin telling us we haven't seen any evidence of a pass rush. On 2nd down, Stanton looking end zone for Fitzgerald, and we get a flag. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, number 21 on the coverage, and I believe the penalty's on him.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
This is Rodgers-Cromartie and Larry Fitzgerald. Remember, these guys have gone up against each other numerous times. Cromartie used to be an Arizona Cardinal. Remember the point of emphasis for contact down the field. Not much there, though.
You know, he's allowed as a defensive player to establish his ground, John, and it sure looked like he was close to doing just that.
Look, it is past 5 yards. There is contact, but not much contact at all.
So now 1st and goal. Pitch to Dwyer. And the Giants strung it out nicely, as that's going to be a short game for Dwyer. Prince Amukamara from the cornerback spot helped make that play.
The Giants D was embarrassed, frankly, with their effort against Detroit Lions on Monday night. They were sliced and diced, but a lot of people are going to be sliced and diced with Megatron, Calvin Johnson, and Matthew Stafford. But this Giants D is very hopeful that they can put together a fine season, and it all is predicated on the pass rush. You got to stop the run to allow those guys to rush.
Well, we get our first timeout on the field, and it's taken by the Cardinals. Well, so moments for the game, you get Carson Palmer, who the Cardinals fully expected to play, not playing. And here's Drew Stanton, and all he's done now is about to run his 10th play on the opening drive of this one.
Yeah, one thing that became apparent to me once Carson Palmer was ruled out, talking to their general manager, Steve Keim, Tom Moore, players on the field, they're very confident in Drew Stanton. He got most of the reps. Carson Palmer wasn't going to practice. They were planning on playing him. I've been there before, though, with Carson Palmer. Nerves are tricky. You feel fine one day. You wake up the next day, you can't feel your arm. Not good at the quarterback. Stanton looks sharp here early, though.
Yeah, he's played well, including that big throw on third down to Larry Fitzgerald, which was huge. Now, the Giants have had a couple big penalties on this as well. That's a factor. So the Cardinals taking their first timeout. And looking at the penalty here just moments ago on Rogers Camardi. So this will be the 10th play of the drive for Arizona. Second and goal from the 8, and they've got the pistol formation with Stanton, who can run, by the way. Over the middle, and it's Fitzgerald. Is he in? Touchdown! What a drive from Drew Stanton. And now we'll look to make sure he got in.
And Kevin, so much for Larry Fitzgerald being phased out of the offense in Arizona. Drew Stanton says, I'm going to go to my big gun, Larry Fitzgerald. A lot of talk last week, only caught one football. But watch Fitzgerald. Going to work against the linebackers, the zone. Beeson drops deep into the end zone. Larry Fitzgerald catches it, extends the ball. Touchdown, Cardinals.
Let's see, it was a knee down.
I think that left knee never hit.
You know, the only thing is, I wonder, he didn't swing that ball until the last second. And I want to see if that knee was indeed down. It's close. We'll check it one more time as we go to break. They look at it here, pending a 6-0 lead for Arizona.
Well, Kevin, you got to take a look at this left knee. From the other angle, it did not appear to be down. It's down clearly. Larry Fitzgerald, as you said, swung the ball
After
late.
reviewing the play, forward progress with the knee down at the half-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal at the half-yard line. The clock will start on the ready for play.
There it is, ball down, knee down, ball not across the goal line. Good job by John Perry of seeing that and changing it. Now it's 3rd down at the half-yard line for the Cardinals.
11th play of this opening drive of the game with the backup Drew Stanton in for Carson Palmer. Cardinals go 3 tight ends, and they have one of them. Hauser now motions out left. It's Dwyer. He's in. Touchdown, Arizona. That's impressive.
Very impressive drive. You find out 2 hours before the game your starter Carson Palmer, who played excellently in week 1, is out. Drew Stanton says, don't worry, I'll take you there. Jonathan Dwyer churning the legs, getting in the end zone. Impressive drive by the Arizona Cardinals.
So the ex-Steeler gets his first touchdown of the year. Chandler Catanzaro, the rookie kicker, up and good with the extra points. Opening drive of beauty for Arizona with the backup quarterback in the game. Jonathan Dwyer with a 1-yard touchdown run. And with 10:18 to go in the first, it's the Cardinals 7. Giants getting the ball. We come back. Well, I'll tell you what, that is some opening drive by a guy that hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL since 2010.
Well, you look at his numbers, 3 of 6, 43 yards. That they don't do the drive justice. I mean, a huge 3rd down throw to Larry Fitzgerald, threading the needle. He just looked in command. He looked sharp. He had 2 drops and led his team down to put him in the end zone. Impressive, impressive starting drive for Drew Stanton.
The 3rd down pass was on 3rd and 10, 17 yards to Fitzgerald. Here's Catanzaro kicking off. Quentin Demps, new Giant return man, going to take it out from 8 yards deep. Nice return from Demps, who spins his way across the 22. And we'll see Eli Manning, who has been an Iron Man. 164th consecutive start. That's third best in history. Only Brett Favre and his brother Peyton have done better.
And Eli Manning, along with the rest of this offense, Coach Tom Coughlin calls it a work in progress under new offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo. They're looking for timing and rhythm in an effort to find that. They've condensed the game plan. It was a sharp practice Friday. We'll see if it carries over, Kevin.
Started off with a give to Jennings, the former Raider. Is going to work it out for the 25 for a 3-yard gain. But against this Arizona team that's tough to run against. This Giants offensive line's been scrutinized too. Tom Coughlin telling us it's been turnstile play.
And that's not a good description for your. Here's the skill. Victor Cruz, Ruben Randall. Tom Coughlin says they've got to separate.
That's a good start. There's Randall, who's got a first down. A 10-yard hookup and a first down for the Giants for Randall, who they expect big things out of. But he had just 2 catches for a yard last week. This Arizona defense is good, but they're also decimated.
Well, they've been decimated. No Darnell Dockett up front. Now John Abraham mulling retirement. The secondary is where they're very strong, adding Antonio Cromartie at the cornerback position, opposite of star Patrick Peterson.
Manning over the middle, and he's got a completion. So Manning off to a good start. That time it's Jernigan, and it's an 11-yard gain and another Giants first.
Giants playing with tempo. Ben McAdoo. Last week, Tom Coughlin says, we got to find our identity. I asked Ben McAdoo, what do you want that identity to be? He wants a team that plays with great tempo, great energy. We expected the no huddle. We're seeing it early.
Jennings on first down. Works hard for a couple yards. Well, it's interesting. Giants couldn't run. They didn't do much last week or Monday night. And they 22 times, which, you know, okay in a West Coast offense. What did Tom Coughlin tell us?
That's not enough for me. So you expect them. We certainly expected them to run the football. The challenge is this is the #1 ranked run defense in the league in 2013. Only 53 yards last week, as you see Ben McAdoo, the new offensive coordinator for the New York Giants.
Cardinals come with a blitz. Picked up. Dump it to Jennings, and he breaks the tackle. Here is Jennings, still on his feet, and taken out at the 32. One thing about him, he is a good receiver out of the backfield. The Giants just took advantage for 19.
And he's a big guy who can run through tackles. Here's Rashad Johnson, the safety. Rashad Jennings says, get off me. 230 pounds, using that ability and that size to run through the tackle.
The rookie Andre Williams from Boston College in the backfield, number 44, who'll get the pass and makes the catch for a short gain. That's a momentous play because Andre Williams didn't catch a single ball last year at Boston College.
Really is. Ran for over 2,000 yards. The one thing in talking to Ben McAdoo, he hasn't done it a lot, but he says he catches it very naturally. They want to utilize him as a receiver because he's a weapon when he has the ball.
They'll get it here. And that time, nowhere to go. Larry Foote, who had an outstanding Monday night game against San Diego, made the stop.
But it's those guys up front. Calais Campbell, an absolute monster up front. You see Calais Campbell right here. Just watch him take the double team so Larry Foote is free. That's how it works. It works in concert. The big boys up front understand to rush the passer, they've got to stop the run. They do that well in Arizona.
On 3rd and 8, blitz coming. Eli tipped in, intercepted by Sam Acho. Cardinals brought the blitz and it worked. And the Giants have their first turnover of the game.
This is what the Cardinals do. They bring pressure. The Giants know it. Everybody knows it. You're going to see powers come out of the top of your screen. And this has been Eli Manning's Achilles heel, the interception. It bites him once again. 3 on the year for Eli Manning.
Well, that's a good-looking drive until the end of it when Eli Manning threw his 100th interception since 2009. He had 27 last year, 2 in week 1 against the Lions. And then that one picked off by Sam Acho. So now, second possession for Drew Stanton. Giants blitz is coming, and Stanton throws it away at the last second. I think he was outside of the tackle box. No, they say he was down. It will go down as a sack for Robert Ayers.
Well, Tom Coughlin has been saying, we've been talking a lot about rushing the passer. I haven't seen it. Well, here it is, Tom. Robert Ayers, the free agent acquisition from the Denver Broncos, go ahead and sacks Drew Stanton.
Well, it's a loss of 7 for this Giants team, desperate for a pass rush. There's Carson Palmer. Got that nerve injury in his right shoulder, as Pam told you when we came on the air. A late scratch, and now it's Stanton on a 2nd and 17. Set it up to John Brown, the rookie. And nicely defensed by the Giants. Brown's going to pick up 2.
Here's the interception, and Gerard Power is going to come off the corner. And Eli Manning under duress. But this happens in this league. You got to be mindful of the football. You see it tipped. You see 100 interceptions. There's a lot of reasons. There hasn't been great protection. You're in a new offense. Eli Manning says, my bad. You've got to protect the football at the quarterback position in this league to have any chance of winning.
Play clock at 2. On a 3rd and 14, they're going to give a draw. And Ellington, he's going to have the first down. Oh my, on a 3rd and 14, the draw works.
Unbelievable, and that's the skill of Andre Ellington. But if you're the Giants, D, I mean, you see Jason Pierre-Paul whoop his man up front. Kiwanuka, you got to make the tackle. But then, come on, guys, you got to rally and get there. But that's just outstanding effort by Andre Ellington. The Giants are getting beat on 3rd down right now. Penalties, lack of execution, lack of tackling. You've got to get off the field on 3rd down.
Cardinals are 3 of 3 on 3rd down. Jonathan Dwyer, who had the touchdown. Jonathan Dwyer to the edge. And another big run as Amuka Mara knocks him out of bounds at the 40. Right now, this Cardinals offense doing what they want. That's a gain of 20 for Dwyer.
And that's just bad football technique. Amuka Mara at the top of your screen, you're going to see him come into the picture. Outside leg. You got to tackle the outside leg. Instead, he comes inside. That's an easy read for Jonathan Dwyer. Not solid technique football. Amuka Mara has to contain that football, force it back to his help. 59
rushing yards already for the Cardinals. Another jumbo formation. This is Fitzgerald in motion, number 11. And again, a run to Dwyer. Patiently looking for something, but not much there as Amuka Mara makes the tackle after a 1-yard gain.
It's too hard to win in this league, Kevin, to do so beating yourself. And right now, that's what I'm seeing from the Giants. Last week, Tom Coughlin said, did I just see my safety tackle my cornerback? Yeah, I just did see that. Well, you can't beat yourself, and that's what the Giants have done. And I don't care if you have a backup quarterback on a team traveling cross-country after a short week. You won't win in this league beating yourself.
This is Ellington. Let's go down the field and check in with Pam.
Kevin, it's only week 2 and the Giants defense is singing that same old song. It's been singing for years. Poor communications, bad technique is killing them. We saw glaring examples of the team's loss against the Lions defensive lineman Jason Pierre-Paul. Well, he told me his group struggles repeatedly with communication. He says it happens more in games than in practice, and the result, way too much improvising going on out there.
And looking that way so far, you see last week, today the Cardinals are 3 of 3 on 3rd. This is a 3rd and 10. Blitz coming. Stanton hangs in, incomplete. And a late flag now coming back from the secondary. Hang on.
This is going to be on Amuka Mara. He is all over Michael Floyd. Easy one for the officials.
Illegal contact. Defense. Number 20. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
With the point of emphasis in this league, as a defensive back, you got to get your work with your hands done early. Amuka Mara working against Michael Floyd on the other side. of the field. We did not get a look of it. Amukamara was all over Michael Floyd. It was an easy call for the officials.
That was Thurman, Don Fitzgerald. That's a third penalty on the Giants, and it gives the Cardinals another first down. Stanton over the middle. Fitzgerald trying to make a great play, but it's incomplete. Antrell Roll knocked it away.
Antrell Roll, an all-pro last year. Here's the penalty on Amukamara right here against Michael Floyd. You see him grab him. First of all, it could have been holding or illegal contact, and then he never lets him go. That's just simple, and that's what I'm talking about, beating yourselves. That was another third down, another penalty. It extends the drive for the Cardinals.
Oh, Drew Stanton looking calm. 4 of 8, couple of drops, 46 yards. Hung in there against heavy pressure too. On second down, draw Dwyer, and Dwyer has it down to the 31. He's going to pick up 4 yards, and it'll bring up third down.
So Kevin, last week the Giants D against Detroit, 3 of 13 on third down, getting off the field. Today, Arizona with their backup quarterbacks, 4 of 4. It's just not good defense. Here's the challenge for these guys. Can they mount a pass rush? Can they play penalty free? You have to get off the field on third down.
Third and 6. Stanton to Fitzgerald, incomplete, and the Giants finally hold on third down.
And I like the answer by Perry Fuel. You're struggling to mount a pass rush. You're playing penalty free. Get aggressive. They brought the blitz on Drew Stanton, who hasn't played a lot of football. It forces him to get rid of the football. Incompletion. The Giants finally get off the field.
Here is a rookie punter holding and a rookie kicker kicking. Drew Butler holds for Chandler Catanzaro, who hit both of his tries on Monday night. And he's a free agent out of Clemson. Get some confusion on the Cardinals line now. Clock's at 5. They're going to have to call a timeout. Mike Leach calling timeout. They had no choice. They had a personnel issue there, and they have to burn their second timeout of the half. And while they do that, we'll take a break. 7-0 Cardinals looking for more in the first over the Giants from New Jersey. Today, following football, be prepared for a new breed of fighter. 16 women compete for a historic UFC title. Don't miss an encore presentation of the jaw-dropping season premiere of The Ultimate Fighter. Champion will be crowned coming up after football right here on Fox. And so we're set up for Chandler Catanzaro, the rookie from Clemson, to attempt a 49-yard field goal here. This would be his longest in his 2-game tenure as a pro. He's got a good leg. His long was 51 at Clemson. As Bruce Arians looks on, this will be 49 yards out from Catanzaro. The rookie Drew Butler punting, who's subbing for the injured Dave Zastudil, who's got a groin injury, is your holder. And this one is up and good. So the Cardinals have dominated this first quarter. They've got a 10-0 lead, and Patrick Peterson, helmet on, taking the field with that Arizona D next. Well, a couple big drives for the Cardinals. Obviously a turnover with the Acho interception, and Giants have 3 big penalties that have all given Arizona first down. So it's been, Tom Coughlin said it was a nightmare Monday night. It's been a nightmare first quarter too. And it's 10-0 Cardinals here, and the home opener for Big Blue. This is Quentin Demps. Demps cut down at the 16-yard line. We've got a first game break of the day. Joel Klatt from L.A.
All right, Kevin, lots of stuff going on in Washington. RG3 out of the pocket to his right. He's going to go down awkwardly on the sidelines. He would stay down. Kirk Cousins enters the game. 2 plays later, he's going to throw a touchdown to Darrell Young for 20 yards, 7-0 Washington. RG3 would go to the locker room in an air cast. Deshaun Jackson would also go to the locker room holding his shoulder. Washington banged up, guys.
My goodness.
Wow. A lot of people in Washington calling for Kirk Cousins to get his shot. He delivers right away. but you do hope that RG3 and Deshaun Jackson, big part of the offense in Washington, are well.
All right, so here are the Giants. They had a good opening drive. Play clock at 3 until the interception by Manning. Pressure coming over the middle. It is caught by Larry Donnell, and he's going to have enough for a first down. This is a guy that had 3 career catches coming into Monday night, but he kind of exploded on the scene. 5 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown against the Lions.
And Eli and the Giants, Ben McAdoo, their offensive coordinator, felt like the middle of the field was going to be an area susceptible. The Arizona defense struggled mightily versus tight ends last year. They think they've addressed it, but Donnell could have a big day.
Blitz coming again. Manning unloads. He's got to complete to Randall, and he's up around the first down.
Kevin, you know, I think a big reason why Tom Coughlin picked Ben McAdoo, Eli Manning's been hit a lot the last couple of years. This offensive line has struggled mightily. You watch the Green Bay Packers, the West Coast offense. What is it about? It's about getting the ball out of your hand quickly. We're seeing Eli do that.
This is Jennings, and he should fall forward. That'll move the chains and make it a first down, and that should be the end of the first quarter. All Cardinals in this first quarter, and Manning trying to get up one more play, but that is not going to happen. We've reached the end of the first. Arizona has dominated this so far, 10-0. They lead the Giants after 1 from New Jersey. Start the second quarter, the Cardinals with their backup quarterback in Drew Stanton because of Carson Palmer's injury, leading the Giants 10-0. Giants ball first and 10 at their own 38. Manning looking and knocked away beautifully by Patrick Peterson, but we get a flag. They're going to throw a flag for his coverage on Terrell Jernigan, and that is going to be a first down for the Giants. You know, it's amazing. This Arizona defense is good.
Pass interference. Defense, number 21, playing to the back of the receiver. Automatic first down. Spot of the foul.
I guess this is, we've made a point of emphasis, and they're making it. I mean, it's chilled out a little since the preseason, but that's just a good play by Patrick Peterson. They don't want any contact. The league has mandated. The referees are responding.
So it gives them a first down. More on that Arizona defense in a second. Here's Jennings trying to get some running game going against a team that was tremendous against the run. Well, John, this Arizona D held the Cardinals to 290 yards on Monday night, and they are without some major weapons.
Oh, absolutely, and it's right in the middle of your defense. Darnell Dockett no longer here. Carlos Dansby and Darrell Washington, they were the inside backers last year, and John Abraham off the edge. Frosty Rucker, who filled in for Dockett's out with a calf. Tyrann Mathieu has not been playing as well. He's back today, but they've been depleted, but they don't miss a beat.
Mathieu back today. Haven't seen him for a snap yet. Pressure on Manning. Sack. Fumble. Cardinals football. Another turnover for the Giants. Calais Campbell was there, and Thomas Kaiser with the recovery.
Well, Calais Campbell's what offenses like to call a game wrecker. He can take over a game.
Sorry, John. Flag on the other side of the field here.
While the quarterback was in the pocket, illegal contact defense. Number 25, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So now each team is committed to some killer penalties. That's on Gerard Powers, and that saves the Giants.
It sure does. Again, another illegal contact down the field. We're seeing it reveal itself all over the field. We're going to see Powers right there.
Oh, my
not much there. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, folks. There's not much there. It is a point of emphasis, and it is being emphasized.
Here's a draw. And Jennings, not much. This Arizona defense, #1 in the league against the rush last year, and the Giants finding out just how tough it is.
Here's another look at Gerard Powers playing against Victor Cruz. And do they touch him? Yes, but that is not what the spirit of that rule is, even with the point of emphasis. I'll be curious to see if that's reviewed by the league office.
2nd and 8. Here's Williams, the rookie, and Williams going to get a yard. They can't find any running room. Well, John, you know, in the preseason, it was all about this. We saw a lot of fouls that were kind of ticky-tack calls, and it kind of, when back to normalcy in week 1, but this looks like the preseason the way they're calling it.
They're calling it very, very tight. As a player, you have to adjust. What does it take? It takes great technique and great feet. You can't play as much with your hands. If you do, you got to do it early.
Meanwhile, 3rd and 7. Tyrann Mathieu, number 32, has his first snap of the season, coming back from an awful knee injury. ACL, LCL, both torn in week 14 last year. Manning has time. Now it breaks down, and he goes down. Rashad Johnson on the safety blitz, and the Giants will punt.
You've got a dime package. Look at all this that Eli Manning's looking at. Confusion up front. And here comes the posse. It's Gerard Powers that gets there finally. Eli, none of the receivers getting any separation. He looks to get rid of the football. Rashad Johnson, who eventually gets the sack. And a rough start for the New York Giants.
Eli had some time initially, but then that delayed blitz by Bowles. Here's the punt by Weatherford. And Ginn calls a fair catch. We'll take a break. By the way, Weatherford punted that on 4 torn ankle ligaments. Unbelievable. This Cardinal defense playing well so far. 10-0 over the Giants in the second. This Cardinal team looking good today in New York. 12:21 to go in the half. 10-0 they lead it. Defense making it happen with a sack and an interception. And now after a Steve Weatherford punt, Cardinals have it deep in their own territory at the 9. Michael Floyd in motion, number 15. And here's Andre Ellington. And he is not going to go anywhere. You know, that last punt by Steve Weatherford, pretty impressive. On Monday night, he tore 4 ankle ligaments in his left foot, his landing leg. And he told our Pam Oliver before the game when she asked how he's doing, he said, "Are you kidding? I'm a beast." But how do you punt on a torn ankle?
He is a beast. To me, there's usually football players and then there's punters and kickers. But Steve Weatherford just made the club. You tear 4 ligaments in your ankle and you punt on Sunday. Weatherford, you're part of the club. You're a football player now.
2nd and 9. They throw a quick hitter, Fitzgerald, and he is tackled immediately. Walter Thurman, who came over on a deal from the Seattle Seahawks in a part of a revamped secondary by Jerry Reese, the GM.
And Kevin, you know, to me, if you're the New York Giants, I think you have to take a page out of Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator in this Arizona defense. You've got a backup quarterback, make him beat you. Get up, challenge the receivers, play tight coverage. That was a good example of it. Don't let him throw the short throws. Make him go over the top. You invested in your secondary. Let's see them work.
Arizona 3 of 4 today on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 7. Pressure coming. Stanton hangs in and completes. John Brown has it out to the 32-yard line. A 20-yard gain and another 3rd down conversion.
Well, Drew Stanton is not looking like a quarterback who hasn't played since 2010. Good protection first and foremost. He stands in that pocket, allows it to develop, puts it where the ball needs to be. And John Brown, the rookie that the Cardinals have been raving about, makes another huge 3rd down conversion for the Cardinals.
4 of 5 on 3rd down. The Giants cannot get off the field. Here's Dwyer, who fights forward. You impressed about Stanton? We know he can run. He's really stayed in there against the pressure and delivered the ball.
He's playing well, and this is exactly what they said he would. I mean, he's a guy who he's been kind of that bridesmaid in his career. He was supposed to be the starter in Detroit. They draft Stafford #1 overall. He goes to Indy, supposed to be the starter. Here comes Andrew Luck, #1 pick in the draft. He comes to Arizona, supposed to be the starter. They go get another former #1 pick in Carson Palmer, and he's on the sideline. But you're doing something right, and you've got some skill if you've lasted 8 years as a backup in this league at the quarterback.
On 2nd, it's Fitzgerald, who I believe is going to be just shy of a 1st down. I'll bring up a 3rd down and short. Yeah, well, you know, the thing about Stanton, you mentioned this at the beginning. You know, they went out and got him before they had Carson Palmer. But why did they believe him? They gave him a 3-year deal. Nobody gives a backup quarterback a 3-year deal.
And we talked to Steve Keim, the general manager down on the field. He was going to be the starter. I mean, Bruce Arians had that much belief in him. Later on, the trade became available with Oakland. And he's showing them why they had that faith in right now.
Fitzgerald did convert that first down with the stretch of the ball, so it is a 1st and 10. It is Andre Ellington on the near side, and he skirts out to the 45. So Larry Fitzgerald, who had 1 catch that came with a 4:04 mark left in the game against the Chargers, now has 4 catches for 35 yards today.
Kevin, we've talked on the defensive side of the ball with Drew Stanton. This is a team that has really been decimated. They've lost a lot of players, but their attitude, their belief has just been remarkable. Bruce Arians, that guy, he says, we believe in next man up. And why? Because I've been that guy. Remember, he filled in for Chuck Pagano when he was diagnosed with leukemia and led the Colts to the playoffs with a 9-3 record as an interim coach.
He said, I had to be ready. So today, as a throw drilled, Floyd caught it for a second, but Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie with a vicious hit.
Here's a guy they invested heavily in, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, not known for his physicality. He brings it right there. Textbook play at the cornerback position by Rodgers-Cromartie.
That would have been a 1st down, but a heck of a tackle for the guy that they give $35 million to, and now a 3rd down coming up. Blitz coming. Fitzgerald, and he's tackled shy of the 1st down. Another nice play by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and a 4th down and 1.
And I called for them to do it early in this season. Get up and challenge these receivers. I think you're starting to see them do. Rodgers-Cromartie playing from off, but playing aggressively, letting them throw underneath and then making the tackle. Excellent football on that series by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
Here's Butler, the rookie, to punt it away. They had one blocked last week. Preston Parker, the fair catch, just shy of the 10. A couple nice plays by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. So the defense holds. Now it's the offense looking to get on track. 10-0 Cards. Well, the Giants trying to get going on offense. Get something. They've moved the ball a little bit under new offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo. On the right ear screen, he came over after spending years with the Packers, but this is the first time he's running an offense, calling plays, and it's been a struggle early on. Give the middle up on a handoff to Jennings, and McAdoo came in here. It's such a departure from what the Giants had done for a decade under Kevin Gilbride.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's been lost. There's different systems, and oftentimes it's going from one style of West Coast to another. Eli Manning played in a very unique system under Kevin Gilbride, where it was ball downfield. You waited for receivers to make decisions downfield. Now this is all about getting the ball out of your hands and getting it in sync. Eli with the receivers has been the biggest challenge.
Dan trying to get the running game going, and finally a decent run as Jennings has a 1st down. It's a 7-yard gain for Jennings, and that'll move the chains.
And while you're working through these challenges that are always there with a new offense, this is what's important, that they can run the football, because the easiest thing in football to do is turn around and hand that ball off, and they have to impose their will. They got to find a way to sustain drives while they continue to work out this timing and rhythm.
Jennings again. And not much there. We've got a game break from LA. Check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, you saw the injury to RG3 earlier. Washington rolling without him. Alfred Morris, little 1-yard touchdown run. Kirk Cousins, 7 for 7, including a touchdown pass. Washington up 14-0 over Jacksonville. Kevin, John, and Pam.
Kurt, thanks. So the Redskins without RG3 up 14-0 on the Jags. And it's 2nd down here. You know, Tom Coughlin, more on McAdoo. Tom Coughlin wanted to do this to stimulate Eli. We talked about make up for some of the shortcomings elsewhere. And Eli said, oh, I'm stimulated. It's been different. On a fake over the middle. Zip to Randall for a 1st down. And maybe some symmetry with this offense after all. Peterson on the tackle.
Well, Eli has been sharp. Other than the one pick, he's been sharp today. And you're starting to see that timing match up. Eli gets to the top of his drop. Randall's out of his break, and he delivers the strike. This is what they're looking for. This is what they've struggled with thus far, but it's starting to happen. Now they just have to protect the football, sustain drives, and get some points on the board.
Andre Williams, the rookie in the game, on a 1st down. He'll get the call. And Calais Campbell makes sure he doesn't go very far. You know, this Giant offense as they looked again in sync. It was an ugly preseason around here, and obviously week 1 looked exactly the same. Victor Cruz kind of gently said, hey, get me the ball. He's got no catches today, and he only had 2 on Monday.
Look, I'm a huge fan of Victor Cruz, but if you want a ball, you got to catch the ball. And he had a couple drops in week 1. He's going to get his share of balls. What he's got to do, and his head coach said it, he's got to separate. Ruben Randall doing a nice job of it today. Victor Cruz is a good football player. He'll catch plenty of balls for the New York Giants.
Here's a fake, and wide open is Larry Donnell. He's got a first down. The Giants on the move here, up at the 49.
And this is something I like with Eli Manning. I think he's a very underrated athlete at the quarterback. So what do? You take advantage. You move the pocket. You vary the launch point, which helps an offensive line that frankly struggles at times. Eli Manning throws extremely well on the run. There's an example of it.
Ben McAdoo told us, I didn't anticipate a quarterback who enjoys the 3-step game and playing on the move, but Eli does. You saw it there. And another first down. Best looking drive of the day. Rolling again. Looking again. Airing it out. Looking for Randall. No chance. Cardinals all over it. Let's check in on the sidelines with Pam Oliver.
Well, Kevin, with all those challenges on offense, Eli Manning did something new this week. He gathered his offensive linemen and the running backs together and held a special after-practice meeting on Wednesday to go over things like protections. He showed them a video clip containing 20 Arizona defensive looks and blitzes. What happens if he has to override the center's call? Well, Manning wanted things like that practice. He already has a standing appointment with his wide receivers. It's on Friday to discuss coverages, what they see. Back to you.
It's interesting. I'll just tell you that things aren't where they need to be. Donnell on the move. On a 2nd and 10. And Jennings goes nowhere. Larry Foote with the tackle. John, here's the thing. All this about the new offense, and it takes time. Bruce Arians said to the New York media this week, hey, got to give it 8 weeks. The other question is, do they have the talent to make it work?
Well, here's what Arizona had last year while they kind of went through those struggles. They had a fantastic defense to carry the day. The Giants haven't shown that on defense as of yet. There are some pieces. Tom Coughlin knows this. He said, we just have to find a way to win. You got to find some plays, special teams, big plays on offense. You got to find a way.
Tyrann Mathieu, number 32, the ex-LSU star up in there on 3rd down for the Giants. Manning, time. There's Victor Cruz. Down at the 25 as Johnson made the tackle, but a huge gainer for the Giants. It's 27 yards and a first down.
This is their best looking drive by far. I like the rhythm. They've moved the pocket. Now they hang in the pocket on 3rd down. Here's the separation. You want the ball separate from the defensive back. Eli Manning, 2-time Super Bowl champion quarterback, has shown that he can deliver when you get that separation. Victor Cruz does, and he gets rewarded for it.
10th play of the drive with 2:40 to go in the half. Play clock at 3. They get it off. Pressure comes. Nice catch by Cruz behind his body, and that'll mark it down inside the 20 to the 18. Giants have all 3 timeouts left, so no rush. How about the body control?
It's a really nice catch, and that's what Victor Cruz has shown over the years. Tremendous body control, tremendous hands, and toughness. Knowing that he's going to get hit, going ahead, looking that ball in.
And so Cruz, 2 catches on this drive, his first 2 of the game. Giants down 10-0. Arizona's been in control, but the Giants looking to change that. 2-minute warning in the first half from MetLife Stadium. Today's game on Fox, sponsored by iTunes. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. Great drive by the Giants. This is their 11th play. It is a 2nd and 3 at the 18. And Eli Manning having himself a good first half despite the fact of being shut out. I know that doesn't sound like it belongs in the same sentence, but Manning has been sharp. Jennings fighting his way, still churning is Jennings, down to the 14 and another first down. Time ticking there, but the Giants in no rush. Not in a rush to give the Cardinals the ball back, that's for sure.
You got to like this. Rashad Jennings, a big back, but what's he do? He gets small. He hides behind that offensive line, turns the legs. Clever and excellent running by Rashad Jennings.
That's Donnell, number 84, who plops into the fullback spot now.
Hey, 36! 36!
Manning audibles out. Blitz coming. Throws into double coverage to Cruz. How in the world did that get in there? And he's down to the 7. 1:05 to go on the clock ticking. And the Giants in no hurry here.
That's a courageous catch by Victor Cruz. He knows darn well he's going to get hit by Jefferson and Powers. He concentrates, he brings it in, takes the hit, and falls forward.
Manning, fade, Randall, one-hander, touchdown. They love that fade, John.
They do. They get down there. We got one part of the scattering report on Ben McAdoo. You get down close, here comes the alley-oop. But how about going right after Patrick Peterson? One of the finer corners in football. Could have gone the other side. Instead, goes right to Randall. And what concentration. Brings it in one-handed, gets both feet in, beating one of the best corners in football. Eli Manning said, I'm not throwing at Patrick Peterson. We're going after him. You just have to be careful in how you do it.
That was a great drive. 13 plays, 90 yards, took 7:13, and they left only 37 seconds left on the clock for Arizona. And the extra point is up and good. So Eli Manning, 12 of 14, 135 yards, and then the alley-oop to Ruben Randall. And all of a sudden, we got a game. 10-7 Arizona, 37 left in the half. Brilliant drive by Eli Manning and the Giants, and they wasted plenty of clock, too. Ruben Randall, one-handed fade catch for the touchdown for Randall, who led the team with 6 touchdown catches last year, and Cruz a factor, including a 27-yard catch on 3rd down, which was huge. Here's Ginn. And Ginn reverses field. Here comes a flag. And he's out across the 25 to the 27, but this one may be coming back on a hold. Be 30 seconds to go in the half. The Cardinals with only one timeout left, too. And they'll be backed up.
During the return, holding, return team, number 39, 10-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
It's on Robert Hughes, the fullback. And Eli Manning saying, there we go. That's what we're talking about. 10-7 Arizona, 30 seconds to go in the half. Coming up at the Visa halftime show in 30 seconds, RG3 carted off the field, and a couple surprises. Dallas shutting out Tennessee late in the first half. How about the Browns 16-3 over the Saints? Cardinals with 30 seconds left and only one timeout. And their backup quarterback starting today, Drew Stanton. So they're going to throw it. Bruce Arians saying, who cares? And there's Carlson, who's got it out to the 40 and across to the 42, where they will take their final timeout. Bruce Arians, there is no conservative for him.
Well, Kevin, you just asked me, you think they kneel? And I said, yeah, but Bruce Arians is their head coach. And what did Carson Palmer say about Bruce Arians? I love him because he plays offense on offense. He's not trying just to go to halftime. He's going to try to get the ball downfield with your backup quarterback backed up. That takes courage. And Bruce Arians has shown that he does not lack for that and for bravado. I love the way the guy coaches. Everything about him is aggressive. He does not coach scared.
32-yard hookup, and so no timeouts left. 21 seconds ago. John Carlson signed, by the way, as you see Stanton's numbers, to upgrade this tight end situation where they go with 2 tight ends. Carson Palmer said it was the best thing we did all offseason, which is a pretty big statement. 21 seconds left. 4-man rush, flag flies. Fitzgerald wide open, but there's a penalty in the area of holding. This has put him in field goal position, but I think it's coming back.
Personal foul, face mask, offense, number 68, 15-yard penalty, replay, 1st down.
Well, just a killer. I mean, they're in field goal position Beldier working against Pierre Paul. Let's watch the face mask there. He's got a hold of it with that right hand to Pierre Paul's face, and he keeps a hold of it. That's a good call by John Perry, one you have to make, and it takes that aggressive play calling by Bruce Arians and makes it all for naught.
Well, you never know. 13 seconds ago, they're still in the gun. Again, no timeouts left for Arizona in this half. One-man rush. Stanton's is going to air it out from Michael Floyd, who incomplete. He went up and had his hands on it, but Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was at a nice first half. Make sure he doesn't catch it.
I'm blown away. I'm thinking, all right, after the penalty, they're surely going to throw it out of bounds or whatnot, but instead he goes and gives Michael Floyd, and I love it. I mean, it's courageous, but it's won Bruce Arians a lot of football games as a head coach. 20-9 as a head coach after being a long-time assistant in the college and professional ranks. Outstanding football coach they have in Arizona.
You only love it because you're a safety and want to get a pick for the halfback. Who are you kidding? So there they finally do kneel it down, and pretty good first half here at MetLife Stadium. Cardinals dominated early as the Giants made some mistakes, but Eli Manning led them on a monster 90-yard drive here in the second quarter to get back in this game. Cruz, a factor, had a huge catch on third down. And we've got a game here at MetLife Stadium. We're at the break. It's the Cardinals in front of the Giants 10-7 with Drew Stanton, the backup, getting the call today, playing well for the injured Carson Palmer. End of the half, again, Cardinals 10 and the Giants 7 as we see the teams go in the locker room right now. Coming up, the Visa halftime show with the fellas and Kurt Menefee. A lot to get to. Let's go to L.A. right now. Take it away, Kurt. Let's look at the Nissan performance that excites as the Cardinals have a 10-7 lead over the Giants, moments away from the third quarter beginning. And there it is, the quarterback, Stanton, getting the emergency start for the injured Carson Palmer. And Eli Manning only missed on two, one of them a pick, just led a 90-yard drive, and he has been sharp as we get set to start quarter number 3, John. And it's all about the Giants offense trying to get a little momentum, I guess. And it seemed like, at least in that second quarter, they got it.
Well, I think they're finding that rhythm. It's a work in progress, but they're certainly finding it. Eli looked sharp after the interception.
The Giants will take it to start the half with Quentin Demps. And Demps dragged down before the 20 by Sam Acho. Let's check out on the field with Pam Oliver.
Well, Kevin, I asked Tom Coughlin about Eli Manning and the command he seemed to show as the game progressed. He said, yeah, we're making some nice plays, but defensively, we're not stopping anybody. He says they're really hurting us on those timing plays. Bruce Arians, meanwhile, he loves the way Drew Stanton has been playing fantastically well, he said. He hated the way that first half ended, and he's challenged his defense to get off the field immediately. Back to you.
All right, Pam, and I'm sure the Giants would like to get the running game going. 31 rushing yards. They had only 53 on Monday night. And let's start her off with the run to Jennings, who is going to go absolutely nowhere. And here we are in this second half. A lot of storylines. I mean, the Cardinals going with the backup quarterback. The Giants trying to get in sync. But Pam just talked about the defense. Giant defense, they've got to get it together here.
Well, they do. They're going against a second-string quarterback, and you got to feast on those kind of situations. Eli Manning, on the other hand, I think Larry Foote, the inside linebacker for the Cardinals, said it best. He's got a little Kobe in him. He may miss early, may miss his first 10. He's going to keep firing, and we all know that about Eli. Eli established that rhythm and had a really good first half.
Yeah, Larry Foote, Kobe Bryant you're talking about. So missed the first 10 and then hit the next 20. As it'll be a third down, and we get a late flag. The drives for the Giants, the last one a beauty, but the penalty is being discussed by John Perry and the crew. Came in late at the very end of the play.
After the play, personal foul, offense, number 67, half the distance to the goal, down counts, third down.
It's the right tackle, Justin Pugh. He gets pushed. It's always the second guy. Well, no, this time it looks like it's the first guy because That sure looked like the Arizona Cardinals. Tommy Kelly, who actually had the hands to the face.
How can that be on Justin Pugh? Wow, that's hard to figure. I don't understand that one. Unless there was something before that which we didn't see, which is possible. Nonetheless, huge penalty. Now you move it back to a 3rd and 17. Going to give a draw. And Jennings, forget about it. This Cardinal D, very difficult to run against. See if there's something earlier here, John.
Let's watch as this pile unfolds. Justin Pugh's going to be right there. The right tackle. A little shove there.
Oh,
not much. I mean,
come on.
I don't know. It's,
I mean, this is football, no?
Yeah, it sure is. And, you know, I'm angry if I'm Tom Coughlin and the Giants right there.
Well, that's a killer. They go 3 and out to start it, and they will punt it away with Weatherford on that bad ankle. Returnable for Ginn on the 38. And Ginn gets smoked at the 44. Quinton Demps made the hit. And Ted Ginn, who was brought here to bring some electricity on special teams, has brought a thud so far through a game and a half. A 47-yard punt by Weatherford, just a 5-yard return.
Well, the Cardinals struggled mightily on punt returns and kick returns. Were the 31st ranked units. That's second to last in the league last year. They went out and addressed it with Ted Ginn. It has not paid dividends. They aren't blocking for the man.
Ellington Fitzgerald, after only 1 catch last week, has been a factor. In great field position on their first drive of this 3rd quarter, up at the 44. 3-man rush, and Jonathan Hankins gets the sack, the 3rd of the day for New York.
Well, Hankins, he's supposed to be a run stopper, but he looks like a pass rusher working against Ted Larson, the left guard. Gets to a move and simply overpowers, gets the edge on Ted Larson and finishes it. Outstanding rush by Jonathan Hankins, an unlikely source to find that pass rush, but they're looking for it from anyone.
They always seem to develop these young linemen, the Giants, out of nowhere. They did it with Linval Joseph, who left via free agency, and now Hankins taking over his spot. Stanton to throw, and a lot of time to do so. Going deep for Floyd. Incomplete. Stevie Brown came over and knocked it away.
And that's it. That's an incomplete pass, but that's a ball. You're looking for turnovers. You need a lift. That's a ball Stevie Brown has to intercept. Stevie Brown right here playing center field, reading the eyes of the young quarterback. Really a good job by Michael Floyd turning into a defensive back himself, competing for that ball and negating the interception. That's a ball Stevie Brown, excuse me, has to intercept.
3rd down, 18. They give the draw to Ellington. This worked once today. And Ellington's going to be well shy of a 1st down. So the Giants do their job. And both teams go 3 and out to start the 3rd quarter.
There's the answer that Tom Coughlin's looking for from his defense. His defense underachieved last week. Early on, it wasn't pretty. They were killing themselves with penalties. They look to be establishing some rhythm, some fight to them that Antrell Roll, the great safety, called of his teammates for.
Butler will punt it away, and it gets blocked. Flag comes in now late from the near side of the field as it rolls inside the 30. The Cardinals had one blocked last week with Butler, who is the backup punter, and Jennings came in there.
And how about that? That's how important special teams are. You put your starting running back in to rush the punt, and what an outstanding effort. Runs through Robert Hughes, the fullback, extends the arm to get the block.
During the kick, illegal use of hands to the face, receiving team. Number 35, post-possession foul. It'll be 1st and 10, timeout on the field.
Yet another penalty hurts the Giants today. That's been a bugaboo for them. That'll move it back, but it is their ball, trailing the Cardinals 10-7 here in the 3rd.
You see Tom Coughlin wearing out John Perry, the official, but I think he's got every right. He's not just a curmudgeon. He's a guy who's angry because he's not seeing these fouls that are being called.
118.
1st and 10 for the Giants. And throw over to Cruz. Breaks one tackle with Peterson. Make sure it doesn't go any further than that. You know, it's unbelievable. The Giants get a block punt, and they still start inside their own 20th. And what did Coughlin tell us? He was fun with us the other day. He said, you know, it's been a long time around here since we didn't beat ourselves. And they've only got 5 penalties today, but they've all really cost them so far.
Like that. Yeah, you block a punt, you're going to have great field position. That's negated. A lot of them have happened on third down to extend drives for the Cardinals. Inopportune timing for their penalties.
Andre Williams, the rookie, and he's up to the 25. Give him a yard and a half. Arizona's D, #1 in the league against the run last year. And the Giants are averaging 2.3 yards per carry today because of that monster, Dan Williams, and that guy, Matt Shaughnessy.
They come off on passing situations, but they get them in those passing situations. And I think you got to give so much credit to Todd Bowles at the defensive coordinator. He's mixing and matching. They've lost. We showed you everyone they've lost on this defense. They aren't making excuses. They keep coming at people.
3rd down and 3. 4-man rush. Manning wide open that time. Preston Parker, who comes in and makes a big play.
Preston Parker is going to come just on a shallow cross across the field. They run it with a little bunch route to create the traffic. Eli Manning finds him. Parker, who's a punt returner, uses those punt return skills to get big yardage for the Giants.
John, we were at practice Friday, and Eli Manning said it was the best one they've had as an offense.
Ball didn't touch the ground. It was very, very impressive. We came expecting to see this out of sync offense. Instead, it was extremely sharp, and we're seeing that on the field.
He's 14 of 16 today, looking deep and looking for Cruz, I guess. Donnell was also in the area, but it's incomplete.
They're trying to do anything they can to accelerate the growth process in this offense. What I liked most from what I heard when Eli said we pulled back, we scaled back on the volume of the game plan. Let's not run much, but let's rep everything we've run so we have an answer, and it's showing on the field. He's playing with confidence. The receivers are playing with confidence.
That's McAdoo, new offensive coordinator. Last 8 years in Green Bay. Manning. And he throws incomplete to Donnell, who turns around and gets down to the 40. He's going to pick up 6, and it'll be a 3rd and 4.
I think what you got to like is the time that Eli Manning has. Look at their protection. Rashad Jennings doing an outstanding job picking up the blitz. He works the pocket, finds Donnell. Positive yards, and puts him in a 3rd and 4 situation.
On 3rd down, blitz picked up. Manning, Randall incomplete. He underthrew it.
And there, perhaps, Kevin, is some of that timing. You get a blitz. Eli holds it as long as he can, but then puts it up there. This is a new offense. And he does hold that right arm. I mean, for all the ticky-tack fouls we've had today, there's one where Cromartie pulls the vet move, holding the arm of Ruben Randall, and it certainly impedes him from going and getting the ball.
And there's a reason why he couldn't get back to it. Weatherford's punt. Ginn lets it bounce, and it takes a very Arizona bounce into the end zone. Fortunate, so the Cardinals can take over on their own 20, not on their own 2. Arizona hanging on to a 3-point lead. 8:49 to go, 3rd quarter from Jersey. Bruce Arians hasn't been a head coach in the NFL for long, assistant forever, but in the short time he's been pretty darn good.
That's some big-time company right there, and he waited a long time. I love what he says. He said, John, I was retired prior to Chuck Pagano calling me. I was on the river in Georgia. I was retired. So as a head coach, he coaches with this aggressiveness, and he says, what's the worst going to happen? They're going to fire me? All right, I go back to the lake.
It's like doubling down on blackjack every hand. That's what he calls a game like. Here's Ellington stacked up. Nowhere to go. Well, John Arians has been around for quite some time. Started out at Kansas City as a running back coach back in '89, then moved over to New Orleans, coached the tight ends there. About '98, Colts quarterback coach. Keep on trucking, 2001 Browns offensive coordinator. And then what he's maybe most known for, his time in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. And then to Indianapolis, where he then took over for Chuck Pagano and had a great year, AP Coach of the Year, and now here, second year in Arizona. Ellington bounces outside, and a quick run by Ellington to make something out of nothing. Jaquan Williams came over to make the tackle, and it brings up third down.
Well, early on, we were talking about this Giants defense not playing assignment football. Now they're playing assignment football, and they're flowing to the football. You got to get 11 to the football. You see two players spill the ball, make it bounce, and here comes the posse. That's playing defensive football, not necessarily that fiasco that was going on earlier.
On third down, it's Stanton. Pressure comes. Down he goes. Kiwanuka has the fourth Giants sack, and the Cardinals will punt.
I think really credit this sack to Demontre Moore up top. He's going to collapse the pocket on Drew Stanton. Kiwanuka, who's wrapping around from the defensive tackle position, comes and finishes it. That's what they've been talking about, a collective pass rush.
Butler's punt, returnable for Parker. Decides where to go, and he just took too much time. There was a lane there. Did he fumble? Well, they say he was down. They say he was down. Troy Nicholas came down to recover, but they say that Parker was down after a 52-yard kick, no return. Now we're seeing the defense here at MetLife Stadium.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL.
Giants football, they trail 10-7 in the third quarter here at MetLife Stadium to the Cardinals. And they'll give to Williams, the rookie, up across the 30-yard line. John, they're sticking with this run game. Tough sledding, though, against this Arizona D. They're only averaging 2.4 yards per carry.
But they've done it 18 times now, and what that does, that takes some pressure off that offensive line, who struggles, frankly, protecting Eli in the pass game. I like the mix of run-pass. You feel like New York's starting to establish a little momentum here.
Williams again. And spin move working hard just to get a yard. That's what it takes against this Arizona D. Kevin Minter, second-round draft pick last year out of LSU, on the tackle. There you see the offensive numbers. So they've clearly been better today, but only 7 points on the board thanks to a couple penalties and a key turnover. Third down. Manning's got time, and he's got a completion and a first. Larry Donnell up to the 45-yard line. It's a 13-yard gain.
This is a beautiful job by Eli Manning working the pocket. He's going to get back to the top of his drop. He works his feet up in the pocket and throws a strike to Donnell.
From the 45. A lot of time for Manning. He's now going to tuck it and run. Flags coming from the secondary. And Eli will slide down at midfield. But from the Cardinals secondary, and Patrick Peterson going berserk here. Going to take a sharp guess and say it's on him, John.
And I feel your pain, Patrick. Not much fun playing defensive back in the NFL in this day and age. He's got his hands around him within 5 yards.
There's two fouls in the play. They're both holding, both defense. Number 25 and number 21. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
That makes me feel a little better, because if they're calling illegal contact, not so. But he does have his arms wrapped around on the outside. You got to keep your hands inside.
Peterson, I think, just bumped the official, or at least was awfully close to doing so. Right in front of us, so I couldn't tell if he made contact, but he was close. He's going to be careful, get thrown out of the game. I tell you what, that's a pretty good job by the official to turn away there. That was close. First down, Giants. There's going to be a hold on the Giants. It's Cannell on the connection. And the 35. Arizona came with a blitz. I think it was J.D. Walton, the center.
Holding. Offense. Number 55. 10-yard penalty. Will replay. First down.
This is what Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, does. He just puts pressure on your offensive line because he's going to blitz. It's Kevin Minter coming through the middle, right in that center guard gap. Eli Manning does a nice job of escaping, but all for naught with the hold from the center, Walton.
6 penalties, 55 yards against the Giants. Todd Bowles, his defense, a 14-year NFL assistant, second year in Arizona. The 6th best defense in the league last year. First and 20, blitz again, and they're going to dump it off on a little screen, and Jennings with a good move and a first down. Nice running from Jennings to pick up 15, and I'm sorry, that's not a first down with the penalty, so it'll bring up a short to gain.
And really a touchdown saving tackle by Antonio Cromartie. You watch at the end, he's going to get that long arm out and trip up Jennings, but a great execution of the screen pass by the New York Giants, putting them in 2nd and 5.
So after the penalty, it's the 2nd and short. Jennings stays in the game. They fake it to him and Manning. And get to Cruz and makes the catch. That's a first down the 26-yard line. 14-yard gain. We've got a game break with Joel Klatt.
All right, Kevin, we go to Carolina. Detroit, all these offensive weapons. You got Megatron, Reggie Bush, Brandon Pettigrew, Eric Ebron, Joseph Fourier. But no, Jed Collins with his sweet hair gets the call. 7-6 Lions in Carolina.
Exactly what I expected, Joel. The former Saint gets the touchdown there. Here the Giants pick up a first after that big penalty. Down to the 26, trailing by 3, 2:52 to go in the 3rd. Manning going for it all for Cruz, and there's a penalty. That's going to be pass interference on Peterson, and the Giants go after their top corner again and succeed.
Pass interference, defense. Number 21. Spot of the foul was in the end zone. First and goal from the 1-yard line.
And Eli Manning told us in meetings he would not shy away from going after Patrick Peterson. He has great respect for him, but he said, we're going to come after him. Boy, is he ever. Not going after Cromartie on the other side, going after Patrick Peterson repeatedly. I don't think Peterson's used to it. He's used to people going the other way. And they're getting after him by virtue of penalties. Earlier it was Randall with the fade pass on Patrick Peterson, attacking arguably the Cardinals' best player and having success in doing so.
First and goal. They bring on an extra tackle, and Garrett Reynolds on your right. And they go to Jennings, right side, not going to get in. Well, last week the Giants got in this situation in Detroit and threw Peterson still hot. And they threw 3 fade patterns. The third one worked on 4th down. They scored a touchdown on a fade pattern earlier to Ruben Randall. 2nd and goal here. Cannell in motion. Manning looking, end zone, touchdown! Daniel Fells, a backup tight end, and the Giants take the lead.
Eli Manning had the pick early in this game, but boy, has he responded. Now 19 of 23, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eli Manning is hot, finding Daniel Fells for the touchdown. Working the progression, working his feet, trusting the offense, and it pays dividends.
Eli all smiles after that. Another big drive, 8 plays, 74 yards. So he's led a 90-yard scoring drive. That one, 74. The touchdown to Fells. Browns extra point up and good. And with 2:03 to go in the 3rd, it's the Giants in front. Their first lead of the game. Manning going right after Patrick Peterson. Looking for Victor Cruz. Back in the New York groove are the Giants in front in the third. NFL Week 2 continues later today on CBS, and for some of you on Fox, then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. Tune in tomorrow too, Monday Night Football on ESPN. Eagles and Colts there. Here, it's the Giants with their first lead after Eli Manning led an 8-play, 74-yard Daniel Fells with a 1-yard catch, and for Eli, career touchdown pass 232. That ties Steve Young for 22nd all-time. And John, let's be fair, early critical how it started. He's been fantastic since that interception.
Well, that's one thing about Eli Manning. He is never going to stop coming at you, going to stop firing, and that's why he's been successful, won 2 times the Super Bowl.
Here's Ginn. Ted Ginn is going in reverse. Not sure where Ted Ginn is thinking of going, maybe to the tunnel, but that is not going to work. Giants all over it. And Arizona backed up in their own end zone. Patrick Peterson getting picked on today, trying to plead his case. But this has been Eli Manning's show at MetLife Stadium. Giants in front. On his kick return game with Ted Ginn has been a flat-out disaster the first 2 games of the season. 3 returns for 28 yards today. They signed him specifically for that, and he went backwards. And now Arizona in a heap of trouble.
Remember, this is where Bruce Arians will go up top. He will throw deep, backed up.
Stanton going to get it to John Brown quickly, and Brown scurries across the 10, out to the 12. Just get a little bit of breathing room, and a gain of 5. And by the way, this Giants defense, ever since Arizona on the opening drive had 80 yards, they've got 90 total yards since. 4 sacks to boot.
Well, the Giants didn't look sharp to come out today, but they look sharp right now. They're starting to play assignment football. They're starting to play with some confidence. I like that they're challenging these Arizona receivers.
Ellington, the back, gets it on 2nd and 5. And he is going to be, I believe, a hair shy of a first. See where they mark it. It'll be a 3rd and very short.
So interesting, Kevin. We sat in meetings with Carson Palmer, who we thought was going to play. He thought he was going to play. He talked about Andre Ellington. He said he went to Arians this offseason. Let me have him at wide receiver. Arians said he's too good. We'll use him at wide receiver. He's too good at running back. Special player the Arizona Cardinals have.
They need 1 yard. They give it to the up back. It's Hughes, the fullback. And the spot is everything. Think he's going to have it. He should, and that may be the end of the quarter. That'll move the chain. So they give it to the up man, and it works. And the Cardinals may just let this run to the end of the 3rd quarter. This will be it for the 3rd. Stanton to throw it. Looking, and we get a flag from the secondary. Looking for Fitzgerald, who actually knocks it away, it looked like, from Rogers Cromartie. But let's check the penalty.
Get Antrell Roll for illegal contact working against John Carlson.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Defense, number 26. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And so that'll be a first for Arizona.
Here's Antrell Roll working against Carlson. Right there on your screen. After 5 yards, not much contact. That's what they've asked these officials to call.
Moves it up to the 23 with 2 seconds to go in the 3rd. Right, unusually quiet. They've been into it since the Giants played a strong 3rd. Ellington fights forward across the 30, and he's going to be up near the Cardinal first down. And that'll take us through the 3rd quarter where the Giants took control in the 3rd and took the lead in the 3rd. Defense stepping up. 14-10, Giants in front. Giants have a 14-10 lead as we start the 4th quarter, but they've got 2 key defensive guys on the sideline. Jason Pierre-Paul, number 90. Kiwanuka is out maybe for this play. But John Beeson is not in there right now. He didn't really practice much all week. The middle linebacker. Reverse John Brown. And the Giants played it pretty well. McClain set it up there, and then Brown finished it off.
I want you to watch 53. Jameel McClain. This is setting the edge. Make them run the bubble. And then here comes Stevie Brown to force them back inside. They're starting to play team defense. Assignment football. They're challenging receivers. This defense playing with some energy, some confidence.
That was just a one play. Giants have the nickel in now, so Beeson won't be in here. Meanwhile, Stanton back to pass, and he gets eaten up. Ayers and Jenkins come in on the sack. There is a penalty. As a matter of fact, two of them. Hang on. Coughlin is livid right now. Coach Coughlin may not have a voice left when this is all said and done. He has not been thrilled with John Perry's crew.
It's 2 fouls in the play, both in the defense. Holding, number 38, declined. Illegal contact, number 21 is accepted. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Boy, there have been some big penalties today.
Here's Rogers Cromartie down the field. Past 5 yards, you cannot put your hands on him. Good call by the officials. They got a hold on the other side on Tremaine McBride. But there it is. Clearly after 5 yards. He's beat right there. That's why he holds, and the officials don't miss it.
That'll put it first down at the 40. Jonathan Dwyer in the backfield. They'll fake it to him. A lot of time. Stanton just throws it away. Floyd was in the area. Kind of surprised. Stanton can run a little bit, and I'm surprised we haven't seen him do that a little bit more today. That seemed like a good opportunity.
Remember, on that penalty, Kevin, they sacked Stanton. This defensive line starting to heat up. 4 sacks on the day. That would have been their 5th. They're rushing the passer. If they could stay away from the penalties on 3rd down, they'll be fine.
John, I'm stunned. 4th quarter, and it's pretty quiet in here. All right, so we were right. Beeson, his toe and his foot acting up. He had off-season surgery, and he's questionable to return. Keep an eye on that. Give inside Ellington. Look at Ellington slip through the hole and has a first down. Man, is he good. Playing on a bad left foot, but he's got an Arizona first down with that speed. And mark him down at the 45.
And Andre Ellington, he's just got that burst that's rare. It looks like he is going to go down right there. He's a small guy, got the burst. He's also got the strength to run through tackles. I think the word special is reserved for few players in this league. This kid has the opportunity to be special for the Arizona Cardinals.
He averaged 5.5 yards a rush last year. You see what he's doing today, 7.2 yards a carry, which is insane today. First down at Stanton. Going for Fitzgerald. How did he hold on to that? He's got it. It's a first down. They mark it right around the first down. I thought he got it when he caught it. And he does have a first down.
Just watch the strength of the hands of Larry Fitzgerald. The presence of mind and the ability to also reach with 2 hands forward to get that first down. Extraordinary player. People want to be so quick to say his best days are behind him, still playing at an incredibly high level.
The reports of the demise of Larry Fitzgerald are exaggerated. He had 1 catch last week. He's got 6 for 51 today. And another first down. Stanton over the middle. He's got Carlson wide open, and the tight end has gotten an 11-yard gain and another first down. That penalty is a killer. Instead of the sack, Arizona moving down the field.
Hard to get off the field in 3rd down in this league. When you hurt yourself with penalties and such, it's just impossible. And Drew Stanton now and the Arizona Cardinals establishing some rhythm. John Carlson, Carson Palmer called him the best thing we did this offseason, showing why they feel that way.
Ellington will go out to the line on a 1st and 10. Little jump throw to Ellington. It wasn't turned around yet, and a flag. The very end of the play, we get a flag, and the signal is a hold on the Giants.
It's Going to be on Herzlich. He drew the coverage on Andre Ellington. A tough task for any middle linebacker.
Holding, defense, number 58. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Here's Herzlich. Going to be working against Ellington. Right there. Holds him by the back of the jersey.
No question. You know, John, Ellington's a guy, he ran a 4.640 time out of Clemson, and his stock dropped all the way down to 6th round. But I'll tell you what, looks a lot faster than that in the games. 1st and 10 for Arizona, down by 4. In the 4th, it's Stanton, it's Ellington, we're behind him and incomplete. And hang on a second. Let's get a quick game break from Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Cleveland Browns have retaken the lead from New Orleans. This is Terrence West, 3rd-round pick out of Towson, getting his first NFL touchdown and celebrating in style. 23-17, Browns up in the 3rd. Kevin, John, and Pam.
All right, Kurt, thanks. That's a surprise. Arizona with a 2nd down. They've been helped to 6 first downs by Giant penalty today. Blitz coming. Stanton going to loft it for the end zone. Incomplete. No flags. Looking for John Brown. But Tremaine McBride, pretty good coverage.
But Kevin, you start to see with Carson Palmer, if he's going to be right, why this Arizona offense is so explosive. You look around, they've got size. Guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Michael Floyd, they've got speed. Ellington, John Brown, they've got a little bit of everything. Very diverse receiving group that is very, very dynamic.
Cardinals 5 of 9 on 3rd down. They hit their first 3. And the crowd wakes up at MetLife. Stanton, and looking for Fitzgerald, not even close. Roll on the coverage, and the Cardinals will try a field goal.
Well, after the penalties, that's a good stand for the New York Giants defense. The Cardinals had started to accrue some momentum, and Antrell Roll, Rogers Cromartie, they stood up when they needed to and forced the field goal attempt.
It'll be Chandler Catanzaro from 37 yards out. The rookie had a 49-yarder earlier today. And that one is good. And so the Cardinals get a little bit closer with 11:38 to go in the game. Giants 14, Cardinals 13 from MetLife. A shot of One World Trade Center in New York, obviously remembering all those from 9/11 that lost their life, all the heroes from that day. And, you know, extra special meaning, obviously, here in the New York metro area, and for Tom Coughlin, whose son Tim escaped World Trade Center 2 in that horrific day. And he spent a lot of time with his team the day of practice. They took a moment of silence, but it went even farther than that, John. In the preseason, talking about the significance of that moment. Here's the kick, and it's Demps. He will take it on out. And Quentin Demps across the 20. Good return. We'll finish that thought in a moment. Giants football up by 1. 11:33 to play. So we told you Tom Coughlin had the moment of silence with his team on 9/11 on Thursday. And John, we told you about his son. He's a big history guy in its own sense. This had special meaning for him.
Yeah, I think it's special that he wanted to share with his team. He was there as a member of the New York Giants. A lot of these guys weren't, and he thought it was important for them to know. He told the team about his son escaping that building and talking about the firemen going up when his son was coming down. It was important. I think that's great for the NFL in a very tough week, that there's people like that that understand the perspective that there's life outside of football, and he's a guy who represents all that's good with the National Football League.
Their team building trip this preseason was to the 9/11 museum. I mean, that's not a normal team building thing, but he said it was important for those guys. You got to think too, there's a lot of younger guys that don't really understand what happened on that day, and he said it was huge to do that. Now for the Giants, it's huge. Try and close out. Up 14-13 on the Cardinals. 11:33 to go. Eli Manning has really had a terrific day. 19-23 passing. And they're going to try the run to Jennings. Doesn't get the edge, but it's played well by Rashad Johnson.
Kevin, the thing about Eli Manning that's most impressive, and Ben McAdoo talked about it, I said, what's his greatest strength? His ability to focus when things are going haywire. Early in this game, everyone's going another pick. But since then, he's been outstanding. Since the interception, 15 of 18, 2 touchdowns, really in rhythm right now.
Here's Jennings, and Jennings running hard to the 26. Down to the field we go with Pam.
Well, Kevin, you mentioned middle linebacker John Beeson. He's got that toe injury. Well, they've decided to get some x-rays on it. It's the same toe Beeson has been dealing with in the off-season camp and in game 1. Tom Coughlin was excited that maybe they could get him back. Meantime, depth at cornerback may be an issue. They've taken a hit. Walter Thurman has a pec injury, and he's out.
All right, Pam, thanks. That's why we saw Tremaine McBride in on that last series. So the Giants dealing with a lot of injuries here on a 3rd down. Delayed blitz. Manning in and out of the hands of Victor Cruz. They had 2 drops on Monday nights, and that's a big one there.
Excellent job by Gerard Powers just underneath, extending that arm, but that's a catch that Victor Cruz expects himself to make, and one that he knows he has to make. A 1-point game. Eli puts it on the money. Got to bring that in.
Well, if you're going to call for the ball in the media during the week, can't do that. And the Giants will punt it away. Weatherford. Low punt for Ginn. Got a terrible day. Stays on his feet. And Ted Ginn. Look at this. Ted Ginn. 1 man to beat. Touchdown. 71 yards. He looked like he was going to go backwards again, but then he went forward 71 yards.
Well, they brought Ted Ginn in to put some life into a dismal return game. It hasn't looked good early this season, but he's a ticking time bomb, Ted Ginn is. With that kind of speed, you make one guy miss, and the speed takes over.
Cardinals will go for 2 here. Try to make it a 7-point game. That's Ginn's 4th career punt return touchdown. Here's Dwyer up the gut, and that is not going to go anywhere. Thrown backwards. Roll was there, and so was Kiwanuka. But Ginn, who had just looked atrocious the first game and a half, John, just totally redeemed himself with that punt return. He said, yeah, I kind of had it the whole time. Cardinals back in front, yeah. Well, Ted Ginn Jr. had a terrible week last week, did not have a good start to today, and appeared that after a hit by Bowman, he was going to lose yards on a punt return. But then a funny thing happened, John. He didn't hit the ground, and he just kept going until he ran into the tunnel.
Yeah. There's an old saying, speed kills, and there's an example of speed. One of the fastest men in the National Football League. He's an explosive player, and he showed it on that punt return.
Here's Demps, who I thought had a chance to maybe get him on that punt return, will now return it himself. Spins out of the one, fumbled the ball. It's loose. Cardinals say they have it. And they do. Special teams killing the Giants.
Bruce Arians said, on the road, we've got to find a way to win the special teams battle. And early on, they did not. They are now.
It's Kenny Demmons, backup linebacker, who made the hit, but here more Demps just dropped it more than anything.
Demmons gets his hand on that ball. It's Robert Hughes, the fullback, that comes up with it. Special teams so critical in tight football games, and the Cardinals clearly winning that battle.
Now the Cardinals up 5 with 10:02 to go, and it's Drew Stanton, the backup quarterback, getting a late call to start today for the injury to Palmer. Looking for Floyd, and he never turned around. Hit into the back of Amukamara.
Here's the kick return, the punt return by Teddy Ginn, missed by Zach Bowman. And then it's Zach Diossi. That's a lonely feeling, being out there with an athlete like Ted Ginn Steve Weatherford, a gutty effort, but not going to catch Ted Ginn in space, and then the speed takes over.
Now this Giants defense trying to hold it to a one-score game. There's the field goal to keep it within a one score. Coming near side, Ellington. Block from Fitzgerald. Inside the 15 to 14. Another big run for Ellington, who's averaging over 7 yards a carry.
And look, Bruce Arians is the play caller. He's the head coach, also the play caller. He's always aggressive. I think now might be a time to be a little bit conservative. You've got this team on the ropes. The worst thing that could happen is a turnover. You've got to find at least 3 points here.
They're going to go Stingle back with Dwyer on a 3rd and 3. Pressure coming. Stanton looking for Fitzgerald, incomplete. Rogers Cromartie on the coverage, and now Catanzaro, the rookie, will try for the field goal.
Now the interesting, Kevin, after going for the 2-point conversion and failing, still a one-score game, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion if they convert on this field goal. So the Giants still very much in this football game.
This will be a 32-yard attempt. Catanzaro has hit both today, a 49-yarder and a 37-yarder. And he's 3 for 3. And the Cardinals making an 8-point lead at 22 to 14. Well, I'll tell you what, John, you know, after losing on Monday night, it sure felt like the house was caving in here in New York. I mean, panic after the Giants started last year 0-6. They've made good progress there. The offense has definitely been better. The defense has gotten to the quarterback. Here they are, they're still losing in the fourth quarter.
Down 8. And, you know, this is a time everything was stacked in their favor. Carson Palmer shows up at the field, can't play because of a nerve issue in his arm. You've got to feast when you've got a team down. You got to find a way to make them pay. The Giants have hurt themselves all day with penalties. Despite that, they took over the momentum, and then special teams flipped it for the Arizona Cardinals. The punt return by Ginn, the forced fumble, and the resulting field goal by the Arizona Cardinals has them up 8.
Yeah. And so now the Giants with 9:11 to play, down 8, plenty of time to go. But yeah, special teams burning them today. And it's 22 to 14 Cardinals. Catanzaro, the rookie, who has kicked 3 field goals today. It was a perfect 5 for 5 on the season. And he will kick it off. Chance for some redemption for Demps. He's got it. Quentin Demps out to the 20. This October, history will be made as baseball's postseason moves to America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1, your home for baseball's National League Division and Championship Series. And it all begins this October.
Kevin, New Jersey native Harold Reynolds was up in the booth with us earlier today. Does a great job for the guys that are going to be calling that NLDS.
And now New Jersey native Victor Cruz, number 80, in motion. Tom Brenneman, Tom Verducci, both calling with Harold Reynolds, the divisional. Here's Cruz looking for him, and he dropped it again! He can't throw a better pass.
Now, would it be a great catch? Absolutely. Is it one Victor Cruz has to make? Absolutely. It's a well-thrown football. In this league, with the game on the line, those are the plays that have to be made by your big-time players. Victor Cruz is one of those. We've seen 2 drops in the last 2 series.
And so a 2nd and 10. Manning firing, Cruz in and out of the hands. What's going on here? I mean, you're so used to Victor Cruz having hands like glue. In our count, he's got 3 more drops today.
Yeah, and this doesn't have anything to do with new offense, whatnot. This is just catching the football. Now, is that the perfectly thrown football? Not at all. This one, I think, even tougher. The first two, though, certainly one's Victor Cruz expects himself to make.
That's a little high in his defense, but what it all means, bottom line, 3rd and 10. Movements. I think Arizona jumped, and that'll help.
Nice job by Eli going with a hard count on the 3rd and 10.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 95, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's on Tommy Kelly, who was signed 12 days for the regular season started, but with all the injuries, he's kind of been a starter for Arizona.
Let's not forget the Cardinals playing without their best pass rusher in John Abraham. He left the team, had a concussion, Mullen retirement. Darnell Dockett on the sideline. Without those guys, tough to mount a pass rush. They do so by pressure.
Cardinals have 7 defensive backs on the field right now for this 3rd and 5. Pressure comes. Manning to Donnell, and he's got first. Matthew on the tackle. We get a flag. Did we see a flag? Nope. Thought I saw one, but no. It's a first down for the Giants.
Eli Manning, knowing that the Arizona Cardinals like to bring pressure on big 3rd downs, he's going to have a one-on-one. He finds it and executes.
Handoff here, and that's going to go nowhere. Hard to run. It's been hard today against these Cardinals. Game break to L.A. with Kurt.
Well, Saints and Browns continue their back and forth. Mark Ingram goes forth for the New Orleans lead. 1-yard score, 24-23. I think it's a close one. 8.5 left. Kevin, John, Pam.
Wow, Kurt, that game's been back and forth all day long. Tyrann Mathieu has played sparingly today. His first game back, saw him number 32 on the sidelines. First game back from major knee surgery at the end of last year. Manning on 2nd down. Athletic grab by Donnell. They're going to mark him down at the 43-yard line, but a 23-yard pickup.
Look, this is a Cardinals defense, very good last year. One thing they struggled with was tight ends. Eli Manning knows that. He looks for his big target, Donnell, showing a propensity for being able to get down the seam. And the Cardinals still struggling with opposing tight ends.
6 catches, 71 yards for Donnell. He's been the Giants' most reliable receiver in the early going this year. Rush up the middle, try to set up a screen, nothing there. But Andre Williams in there, but that play got blown up, and now 2nd and long. I think it's played well today. He's had a couple of drops, and the offense clearly better than last week. On Monday night when they lost to the Lions. Jennings. This time some room. Jennings stays on his feet, breaks the tackle. Forearm, stiff arm, first down.
That's strong running by Rashad Jennings and poor tackling by the Arizona Cardinals. 2 defenders. First, it's going to be Gerard Powers, who whiffs, doesn't bring his arms. Rashad Johnson tries to bring the arms, doesn't bring the body. Rashad Johnson runs right through him.
Jennings has 51 yards rushing. This time it's Williams, the rookie. And he goes nowhere. Tom Coughlin said they ran it 22 times against the Lions, which he said for his taste was not enough. They haven't had great success, but they've stuck with it today.
Yeah, I think 27 rushes now. It's something, again, they struggle at the offensive line protecting Eli. How do you limit that a little bit, take some pressure off him? You run the football and you stay with it. They've done a nice job of that today.
Right under 70 yards rushing. Hasn't been great, but they've kept with it. Manning. 2nd down, near side, dangerous throw, but he's got Jernigan against Peterson again. They've challenged him all day for a short gain. It'll bring him 3rd down.
Well, we hear the term shutdown cornerback so much. I don't think they exist anymore. In a league when you can't lay your hands on receivers, it's tough to be a shutdown corner. The closest thing to that is up in Seattle, Richard Sherman. But Eli Manning told us, I'm not throwing at Patrick Peterson, and he's made good on his word.
3rd down and 5. Blitz picked up. Manning, time. What a catch by Larry Donnell. 1st down, Giants.
We may very well be seeing a tight end emerge right in front of our eyes. One-on-one coverage. Donnell against the rookie Buchanan. Excellent coverage. Holds on to that football. Catches the back of the ball. But the strong hands and concentration to bring that in. Great play by Donnell.
Under 5 to go. Giants down 8. They've got a 1st down on the Arizona 17. Manning going for the end zone. And there's contact, but no flag. Peterson on Preston Parker. No call.
I really believe what that is incidental foot contact at the top of the route. Peterson has the right. Their feet get tangled. That is not a penalty. Good no call by the officials.
Yeah, you said it. They called it the right way. And so a 2nd down. Fake to Jennings. Manning's going to dip it off, and he slips and falls. He drops the ball. That's a live ball. He did not get contacted. And Arizona has it. Wow.
Rashad Jennings trying to make Johnson. It's the ground that causes the fumble, not giving himself up. Arizona football turnovers killing the New York Giants.
Well, here we go. Looking at this play, I mean, there's nothing to look at. He fumbled the ball before he was touched. He was not giving himself up, and it's a live ball. And Rashad Johnson picked it up. You know, Rashad Jennings did not fumble at all with the Raiders last year, and after this great drive, he just loses it.
And the ground can cause a fumble if he's not contacted. He was not contacted. The sure-handed Rashad Jennings, right when the Giants, remember, a 1-score game, touchdown, 2-point conversion ties it. And the most unlikely of foes, the ground, causes the fumble.
Well, they're making sure, just conferring with New York on this call, but quite honestly, it's pretty easy to see that he fumbled the ball. And
Ruling on the field is confirmed. 1st and 10, Arizona.
Tom Coughlin said it to us, John, on Friday. It's been a long time since we didn't beat ourselves around here. And today has been no different. I mean, their offense has still not totally smooth, but clearly taken a step forward, but they're just killing themselves with penalties and mistakes.
Special teams turnovers wasted a great effort by their quarterback, Eli Manning, today. I thought he was fantastic.
Well, still time left. 4:30 to go. Arizona by 8. Timeouts remain in Ellington. So the Giants have time here. Only down 1 score. They can't let it affect their D. And there's a timeout by New York, their first. It's a brand new show coming to Fox that critics are raving about, saying things like it's a lightning bolt of fresh air with the IT ensemble of the season. You don't want to miss Red Band Society this Wednesday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Kevin, you talk about beating yourself, and that's been the story of the day. The turnovers, the special teams miscues, the penalties in critical situations. Again, you have Arizona coming cross country after a short week. You've got their backup quarterback in Drew Stanton. You have to pounce in those situations. Instead, the Giants find a way to beat themselves. We'll see now if they can make a play, get a turnover to get back in this game.
Remember, Arizona playing this game with Drew Stanton, their backup, who hadn't played in the NFL since 2010. Late injury to Carson Palmer. And they're going to let him throw it over the middle, and he's got a completion to the rookie Troy Nicholas. Bruce Arians has not changed his play calling despite Stanton being in.
Well, you got to love Bruce Arians. Carson Palmer said it best. He plays offense on offense, backup quarterback into the game, thinking you're going to just run out the clock. Instead, he throws it to a rookie tight end across the middle of the field with a lot of traffic. He plays to win. He doesn't play it safe, and it's worked out well for him as a head coach.
And they're going to take their time with the play clock here. Giants have 2 timeouts remaining. Arizona with the football, leading by 8. Here's Ellington. Ellington's got to run into McLean after picking up 2, and there is a timeout by the Giants. Giants have, well, they've been slow starters a lot under Tom Coughlin, and they've been hot late to win their couple Super Bowls, but the last 6 games in September have, well, quite frankly, been gross. The turnovers especially. A -12. And today, they've got 3 turnovers. Carson Palmer, he didn't practice much all week, but the team really thought he was going to play today, but the nerve issue was a problem. Pam Oliver told us he couldn't raise his arm above his shoulder, and that's his throwing arm. So Stanton making his first start and has done a nice job. And the numbers don't lie, but he's controlled the game for the most part. It's the turnovers. Giants allowed Ted Ginn a punt return touchdown, and then they fumbled on the ensuing kickoff. That's the difference. Now it's on their D. 2nd and 7 for the Cardinals. They'll throw it again. Stanton incomplete. He had Kiwanuka right in his face, and play calling aggressive looks great until you stop the clock with an incompletion.
And I think that's time where you've got the 1 first down, get yourself out of the field position. Now I think you want that clock to tick. And right here, the Giants didn't have to waste a timeout, got the clock to stop. Now you force them. This is a very important 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, and it's a big throw because he gave the Giants 40 seconds essentially. Giants have 1 timeout left, needing a stop here. Handoff. Ellington. Flags fly. He's going to be about a yard shy of a first down. Penalty far side of the field. Looks like it's going to be on Arizona as their special teams come onto the field.
Holding offense. Number 62. Penalty's been declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
It's Ted Larson, the left guard, and you see his left hand on the jersey of Jaquan Williams right there. Going to come back. I'll tell you, Ellington, every time he gets the ball, you've got this feeling he could break it the distance. Such an electric player.
14 carries, 89 yards for Ellington today. The Giants do their job. Butler, who's had 1 block today, had 1 block last week, will punt it to Parker. Gets it off. That's a good kick. Parker, and nowhere to run. Good punt by Drew Butler that time. 48-yard punts. You know, the Giants had dominated the 3rd quarter and looked to take control, but Ted Ginn, fresh off a new 3-year deal with a new team, did that. 71 yards to the house for his 4th career punt return touchdown. Giants fumble the ensuing kickoff. Cardinals kick the field goal, and that's where we are. 3:19 to go from New Jersey. Cardinals by 8, 22-14. And here's Eli Manning.
Eli's been on point all day. The story's been the penalties, the turnovers. We'll see if they can not hurt themselves.
4-man rush. They're going to dump it over the middle of Williams, and he goes nowhere. Dayon Buchanan, first-round draft choice from Washington State on the tackle.
Got plenty of time for the New York Giants. 8-point game. Touchdown, 2-point conversion ties it. Plenty of time. Eli Manning with 1 timeout. 2:55 on the clock.
Manning, and it doinks off of the rookie Williams. And now they bring Jennings back in there, who fumbled on that last drive, but the Giants put together a terrific drive. They got a 3rd down coming here.
This is a 3rd down situation. Arizona tends to bring a lot of pressure in these situations, bringing at least one extra man. We'll see in this situation if they play coverage or come after Eli.
They're coming. Manning's going to throw a loft near side. Randall in and out of the hands. I mean, somebody on the Giants has to catch the football.
This game comes down to making plays, and making plays when it matters most. Eli Manning delivers another strike. I mean, this is right on the money. Good coverage by Cromartie. Great play. Randall's got to find a way to make that play, though. You want to win football games, you got to make plays. That ball's in his hands.
5th drop by the Giants, and here it is, a 4th down and 6 with 2:41 to go. Cardinals coming with everybody. Manning rolling, has time, incomplete, behind Donnell, and the Giants turn it over on downs, and they may have just turned over the game. Arizona D doing the job, and they get the ball back immediately. And so Randall with a big drop, and then an incompletion on 4th down, and dejection from those left in the stands.
This one's going to sting, Kevin, for the New York Giants, because you had every opportunity. I think this look by Eli Manning is going to tell you the story of the day. They had their opportunities, and they let them get away by beating themselves.
2:36 to go. Giants with 1 timeout. And it's going to be Jonathan Dwyer, the former Steeler. Giants going to call their final timeout here, so they'll also get the 2-minute warning, but obviously they're already in field goal range. Mistakes, penalties, special teams, all killing the Giants. Started with that. This is on the opening drive, John, that hold. Otherwise, they would have had to turn it over on downs. Acho with the interception, and then Jennings just dropped the ball. Giants putting together a beautiful drive. Jennings, his first fumble in 2 years. Not much in this league that separate teams that are elite and not. And the Giants have shot themselves in the foot way too many times today.
It's a really fine line between winning and losing, between the top teams and the bottom teams. And in particular in situations, you've got a team at home with their backup quarterback. You can't beat yourself. They beat themselves today.
Arizona's just wasting time. You give up the middle. It's going to take a 2-minute warning. Pretty amazing. Arizona gets a Monday night win, a comeback win over San Diego. They come east, which has been a troubling point for West Coast teams a lot in the past to play the early game. And then they find out today that even though he was banged up, they thought Carson Palmer would play. He did not. Drew Stanton plays, and he's done absolutely nothing to hurt them.
Look at the Arizona Cardinals play in the toughest division in football. This is a team that can do some damage. They've been decimated by injury. You got to hope that Carson Palmer can be healthy. If not, the offense is explosive, defense outstanding. This could be a team to be reckoned with.
Cardinals looking at 2-0, 2 minutes to go, up by 8 with the ball on the Giants. Coming up next after the game, the State Farm post-game show. 2 minutes to go. Cardinals up 8 with the ball, 3rd and 7 on the 16-yard line. Off, and they will attempt a field goal, which could put this game out of reach. Giants in the 4th quarter. Well, it's been, as Coughlin said on Monday night, a nightmare. 12 points allowed, 5 drop passes, punt return touchdown, fumble kick return, and then Jennings fumbled the ball without getting tackled.
Can you define beating yourself any more so?
No.
Game on the line, and you hurt yourself, and it's not the mark of a good team. And right now, the Giants got to decide if they want to be a good team. If so, you got to make the plays when it matters most, not hurt yourself.
Ted Ginn's the play of the game. The Giants had the momentum. They played a great 3rd quarter, and it looked like he was going to lose yards in the punt return, absorbed a hit, and then went 71 yards for the touchdown, and that changed everything. And the Giants haven't been able to recover. Today's game being produced by the great Pete Macheska, directed by Artie Kempner, Associate Director Eric Mandia, Broadcast Associate Tyler Dare, Technical Producer Clyde Taylor, Technical Director Tom Maslak. Pre-game show produced by Bill Richards, directed by Stephanie Medina, as we're glad You're along with Pam Oliver, John Lynch. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Happy birthday to my mom who's in the booth today. Her birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Burkhardt.
We get all the credits in. To be a 33-yarder to essentially put this game out of reach. Cannonzaro, the rookies, got 3 for 3 today. He sneaks it in. The old fade on the driver. And he got it to go, and that likely to do it for the Giants.
You talk about tight. Oh, that thing hits the orange flag. It hits the orange flag on the pole.
Michael Bidwell there, team president Steve Keim. The red tie on, the general manager. Arizona, John, without their starting quarterback today, they beat San Diego, a good team at home. It's a huge game with San Francisco next week. And then we've got the game at Denver. Maybe we've got 2 undefeated teams in that game. Who knows?
We shall see. I mean, they're going to be tested. Their metal's going to be tested. They got to hope that Carson Palmer's well.
Right.
Drew Stanton did his job today, and I think played admirably under the circumstances. To beat the big boys like San Francisco, like the Denver Broncos, you certainly want to be at full strength, particularly at the quarterback position.
The Cowboys responded today with a 26-10 win at Tennessee. The Saints are winning by 1 with 8 seconds to go in Cleveland. That game's been back and forth all day long. The Buffalo Bills about to go to 2-0. How about that storyline today? And the Bengals holding the Falcons at 10 points in Cincinnati. A lot to talk about as we continue this day of NFL coverage. As Drew Stanton had not played in the NFL since 2010. 2-2 career as a starter. And maybe more importantly, John, you're wearing horse cufflinks today.
Oh, yeah. Forgot my cufflinks at home. No problem. Paul Venges came up. He's a good friend with our producer, Pete Macheski. Came through with the pony cufflinks.
Those are impressive. That's for sure. But it has been a heck of a performance by Arizona, hanging in with their backup quarterback. And let's face facts, taking advantage of the Giants just killing themselves here today. As Jennings on a little dump off, gets to 30, he's in bounds, clock will run.
Kevin, I think if you're looking for any silver lining in this, which there aren't really a lot for the New York Giants, it's that the offense. We kept hearing about a work in progress. We're not in sync. It looked much better. The timing, I thought the quarterback was outstanding today, minus the one throw as Eli Manning goes down. But the rhythm looked a lot better. What hurt them again, beating themselves the drop balls. In critical situations, when they needed to make plays, they dropped the ball. But in terms of the timing and whatnot, much better.
I mean, 5 drop balls in the 4th quarter alone. Now, there's definitely, you saw improvement for the Giants, but John, 14 points, and they're about to be 0-2. That's the bottom line. We've got Houston here next week. With that defense coming in. And so the Giants started out 0-6 last year are going to start out 0-2 this year, and the Cardinals will go to 2-0 as this one intercepted. Larry Foote. They'll do it here in MetLife Stadium as the Cardinals will take a knee and win this one 25-14. Meanwhile, crazy finish going on in Cleveland with the Saints up 24-23. Looks like now with 13 seconds on the clock. Kenny Albert, Darrell Johnson, Tony Siragusa are there, and in 2 seconds we are going to get you to the conclusion of that one. Browns have the ball on the move. Carson Palmer, I hope he can get better, but he saw a great performance without him today. Cardinals take a knee and win it here 25-14 over the Giants to go 2-0 on the young season.